I don't know. I think yeah. I don't know the Apple thing. If they're gonna get an out, that could be it. Who knows how it's structured? But yeah.
Yeah. But getting back to this town hall then in Disney, which happened today, the only thing that Iger had to say about the Apple deal is that it was pure speculation. That's how he dismissed it. That's not a denial.
Yes.
To me, that's as close as you're going to get to a confirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might as well have said we've discussed it or there's been conversations because at that point you're right. It's a non-denial denial.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's because he knows that if this happens and he ever denied it, he's going to look bad. But if he says, "Oh, it's pure speculation," then that's a different matter altogether. And someone else who actually may have a take on this, who I am very pleasantly surprised to see joining us, is the one and only Kamran Pasha. Welcome, my friend.
Great to see everyone. Enjoy my
Hey,
new background from my sister's home in Houston. So,
Good morning.
that's great. Morning.
whatever. Say, hey, looks like crazy stuff keeps happening at Disney, huh?
It does indeed. So, Kamran, I'm sure that you have been
Mhm.
following the news
Yeah.
and the town hall. We haven't gone through everything that was stated first. Why don't you take us through the gist of what happened at the town hall, and after that,
Okay.
how do you think Iger handled himself, and what does this say about how he's going to run Disney?
Well,
The
even
stage is
better than
yours.
thank you. Even better than my opinion, I will share the opinion of one of the Disney employees on my Patreon who's been DMing me from this event, right? So giving me their perspective. So why don't I'm just going to read you their DMs. Why don't I do that?
Go for it.
And so we'll jump in here. Okay. So these are DMs coming from one of the Disney insiders that's been feeding me information. And so here, this is him. I'll just quote him. He quotes Iger saying Apple takeover is just speculation. And this is what he says. He says, I still believe Iger is trying to sell parts of Disney. And in my opinion, the perfect fit is Disney streaming services, the former BAM Tech. You sell it as a tech company that is famous for having issues with its cloud products. They gather strength in streaming and maybe the cloud. Disney gets some cash flow. Everyone is happy. So that's a very interesting, specific thought from this Disney insider. He also quotes Iger saying things will move fast. Um, and he says that I wouldn't be surprised if Disney sells its tech assets to Apple. I don't think Apple would be interested in real estate or some of that IP because we've talked about that Disney has so many pieces that even in a financial crisis situation they've got a lot. So it's not necessarily you would acquire the company, but you could sell off things. You have things to sell off if you needed money, which I think they do. However, ESPN, Apple is aggressively pursuing sports deals, including an NFL Sunday ticket and or DSS might be attractive. So that's the insider. And we know we have this, I believe his name is Mr. Loeb. There's this activist investor who's been aggressively pushing for Disney to get rid of ESPN. So maybe if that investor is part of all the machinations that are happening, maybe ESPN could be on the block to Apple. And let me say, because I want to address this thing that, he has stated, Bob Iger has said, it's just speculation, right? Well, that's a very carefully worded statement. It's just speculation that we would sell to Apple. It's not we will never sell to Apple. That's how it's being reported in the trades, right? But the phrase is very intentional. I mean, lawyers are all involved in this, right? It's just speculation. Kamran Pasha is speculating on Midnight's Edge they were going to sell to Apple, right? But, that doesn't deny we might be having conversations, right? And again, we've had The Wrap, which was a decent trade and gets inside information, been reporting for a week now that there's at least conversations about a sale. So just speculation means that, we're not going to deny it. We're just going to dismiss it so that you don't all look here. It's just, basic, sleight of hand kind of stuff. Let me look at some more comments here from our Disney Insider. So he says, I told you that I was very interested in the fates of Kareem Daniel and Horacio Gutierrez. Kareem Daniel was Chapek's right-hand man who was let go last week, and Horacio Gutierrez is the chief corporate counsel who remains. So this is what he says. He said, Daniel is out and Gutierrez is still in. That should tell you something. Gutierrez is a bag of tricks. He was the M&A leader at Microsoft. So there's a couple of things here that this person is sharing with us. And I noticed this too, that Gutierrez, who had been assigned by Chapek, in that 25 years ago, 10 days ago memo that came out saying this, we're going to do these layoffs and these things, and Gutierrez was in charge of that, he's still there. And so that was the immediate sign to me that Iger's going to just go ahead and implement these layoffs and take credit for them, right? Implement this hiring freeze. And today Iger announces that to, I'm sure, the shock of people. I can already see on the trades, like the comments, people are outraged that that Iger is going ahead with this freeze because that's the reality that Chapek faced. That's what they needed to do economically to save the company at this stage. And of course, there was a lot of talk last week, amongst the fans that Iger is going to, reverse everything Chapek did. He's not in any position to do that, right? That the economics are now ruling everything, and so we're seeing the fact that Horacio Gutierrez, the chief corporate counsel, is still there. It means that he's still in position to implement high-level cuts, which is what was said in that memo. And the other thing that our insider revealed, which Disney doesn't want me talking about this. Okay, all right. That the other thing that I had not known, which is revealed, is that Mr. Gutierrez comes from Microsoft and has a mergers and acquisitions background. So if we're speculating that Apple is at least interested in buying things from Disney to help, to benefit itself and help Disney cover some mysterious holes in its books, then it makes sense to keep Gutierrez there because he's the guy. If he was the guy in charge of M&A for Microsoft, then he's going to be very well positioned to make all kinds of interesting transactions to help Disney at this moment. So that's very revelatory. And now this is the point that our Disney insider said to me that he found most interesting. And he quotes Iger. So he says, he said this to the woke crowd. And he quotes Iger saying, one of the core values of our storytelling is inclusion and acceptance and tolerance. And we can't lose that. We just can't lose that. How we actually change the world through the good must continue. We're not going to make everyone happy all the time, and we're not going to try to. We're certainly not going to lessen our core values in order to make everyone happy all the time. And now there's two ways to interpret that. The way that I think some of the wokesters in the audience would like to interpret it is like, you're not going to make everyone in the audience happy because you're going to make us happy, and that's okay. Well, the economics don't support that. So the proper interpretation is the one that our Disney insider is saying, which he says, this is actually a message to the company and to the wokesters that we're not going to be able to make you happy, right? That's what is coming, is we're going to disappoint you, even though we're keeping our core values. We're not going to be able to do everything they want. And so he said, this is what he says. Quote, this is what our insider says. This is going to be so funny. They, meaning the wokesters, they are so happy and not realizing that Iger is here to correct the mistakes of Bob Iger by pulling a Bob Chapek. It's so incredibly funny and ironic. So that's some of the DMs that I've been receiving from someone at Disney who's giving me sort of live feedback on this town hall. So
if I may, just
yes,
run real quickly, because this is something that we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Because based on the early reports we were getting, it looks as though Bob Iger is going to continue what Bob Chapek started.
Which is what I said last week.
So why would you replace Chapek in the first place? Because he obviously wasn't doing anything wrong managerially.
So that goes back to the theory that you very graciously allow me to post, which I'm stubbornly holding on to, and I may be going over the cliff with this one, that it's something that is being completely hidden, and I believe that it is FTX related, because that's the only other thing that happened in those 10 days that would have caused some kind of internal crisis. That remains my personal opinion. I've not seen anything to contradict that, nor have I seen anything. I've seen lots of data points that can support it if you look at it from that paradigm, but I haven't seen anything to contradict that that's what's really going on here. Because as you stated, if Chapek has been removed without cause, that's the official thing. If he'd been removed with cause, he wouldn't have gotten his $23 million payout, right? And they would have said this guy mismanaged the company, he created a financial hole, and they would have directly put all the blame on him rather than sort of putting whispers out there in the trades that there's some financial problems, right? And that the CFO was concerned about the earnings call that she herself participated in. So it doesn't make sense for Bob Iger to come back in and just do what Chapek was doing, unless there's a deeper game hidden beneath us, beneath the eyes of the public right now.
Yeah, those are some very, very interesting observations right there. I'm curious, Mr. Gore, you heard Kamran's take now in a little bit more detail. What do you think this means for Disney going forward, especially in light of Strange World flopping so badly? We just heard they say at the town hall, we are not changing our core values. We're really, definitely, totally not changing them at all, which to me says they're totally changing them.
I love Kamran's interpretation of the sort of message to the wokesters. I think it's completely 100% dead on. You can't look, it has to be supported by data. And the feedback that has been gotten, which is people vote at the box office with their pocketbooks, right? So they voted that this is not a movie that they want to see. There's no defense. There's no one in the company that can point to that and say, this stuff is resonating. It's not. It's turning off audiences. And Disney used to be a brand that was a trusted brand from parents for kids. It is no longer a trusted brand. That is having a corrosive effect on more than likely everything. Everything is down at Disney. And I think, I don't know, when did that, the call that came out that kind of exposed the not so secret gay agenda with it? That was that about a year ago?
A little more than that.
It was in the aftermath of the Don't Say Gay Texas,
Right.
Florida scandal. It was the town hall in the aftermath of Bob Chapek having told everyone that we're going away from politics. We're going to go back to politically neutral. So I'm not going to take any stance on the so-called Don't Say Gay bill, even though that was a complete misnomer. And then you had the deep state of Disney, because that was highly organizing their coup against Chapek, or getting all the employees to do walkouts and everything. And then Chapek had to publicly walk that out. That's when we got this hostage video. And then there was an internal town hall. And from this town hall, it then leaked videos. This was never released to the public. We were never supposed to learn about their not-so-secret agenda.
And who leaked them?
Were
who leaked them, right?
Strategic leaks. Yeah, come on. You take it from there.
Well, who leaked them? I said
who leaked them?
at the time, this is Chapek and his allies leaked them, right? And that's his modus operandi, right? Is he publicly says, I'm going to go along with whatever the wokesters want, and privately undermines them, right? That's been his modus operandi for at least until he was removed. And that was what a lot of people that weren't looking beneath the surface of things, unfortunately, a lot of people here in the fandom and on YouTube were like, well, look, he's bent the knee. I kept hearing that phrase. I was like, it's as much as bending the knee as as Palpatine saying, I love democracy, right?
It's a strategic retreat, I believe, is the term for it.
And you tell the audience what they want to hear, and then you go do what you got to do. But the other thing I want to throw in on this that I forgot, that I should have said early on from what our Disney insider says, and this is interesting, I only have him as the source, because as far as I can see, it's not been reported in any of the trade reportings of the town hall. So I just got to go with what he said, because I wasn't present at the town hall. He claims that Iger said during the town hall that Disney will get out of politics. Now, I don't know if he said it in those words or if that's what my contact interpreted as, but that's very interesting that this Disney insider got that from Bob Iger, whatever Bob Iger said, that he's going to get the company out of politics, however that was interpreted. So it seems like we're going right back to what the memo was that Chapek put out that started all this drama, but now the friendly guy gets to do it, right? And one of my Patreon members sent me a DM about, in Machiavelli's book, The Prince, they talk about a leader, Machiavelli gives an example of a leader in one of the Italian city-states who basically put out, had somebody be the Axeman for him, go out and do all the terrible stuff that needed to be done. And then when the people were outraged at this, he then executed the Axeman and said, look what terrible stuff he did. And everyone praised him, right? And that's kind of what Iger has done to Chapek, right? Having Chapek do all the stuff that needed to be done and then get rid of him and continue down the path, but with a friendly face. I don't think that's going to work. There's already seeing the comments. If you go to the Deadline article about this town hall, people are outraged and shocked that Iger They thought that the Messiah had come. The wokesters thought the Messiah had come. They don't understand what's happening here. Well, maybe it's like, and my response to our Disney insider was, communist foot soldiers are always the first people to be lined up and shot when the party takes control, right? And they're always shocked about that. What do you mean? Why are you doing this to me? And this is what's happening.
Yeah, that's a very apt analogy right there. And yeah, I haven't really thought about that Chapek as an axeman, but yeah, it's true, because what Chapek really did, he spent his entire tenure cleaning up Iger's mess, while all of Iger's products were coming out, making it look like they were his products because he was the one in charge at the time. Whereas now is the great opportunity for Iger to come in the aftermath of this movie bombing. He gets to steal the valor and blame Chapek for, well, we have to continue down this path now.